Hey guys, Larry Olabamiwo from the Gym Rat Pack here, and this video is going to be my take on the press conference of Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou's fight. Ngannou, sorry. But it wasn't that actual press conference. It's what happened in the undercard, the press conference for the undercard. As you all know, Fabio Wardley is supposed to be fighting David Adeleye on the undercard of that fight, and in the press conference they had a big brawl, which was totally unnecessary. And in the midst of that brawl, Fabio Wardley was dropped by one of the team members of David Adeleye. Subsequently, he had a cut near his eye, on this part, I think, coming down. I'm not too sure, but I saw blood on the videos over here. And it's speculated that he needs stitches on that, which means that he won't be able to spar, which means that potentially that fight is off. Bummer. First of all, let me just say it was completely unnecessary. I saw the video and nothing was said that was completely outrageous. It was just normal verbals. I didn't see anything there that suggested that someone needed to, start throwing hands and whatnot. I think Fabio Wardley walked up to David Adeleye, but he didn't get in his face. I didn't think he got into his personal space. David Adeleye then proceeded to then shove him very hard, which wasn't necessary. And obviously, then Fabio Wardley was about to come back, and then the team members of David Adeleye got involved, and one of them chinned him. Again, completely unnecessary. So, look, a lot of people are saying, oh, the cut's not that bad, and you should be able to continue with the fight. You're not Fabio Wardley, so you don't know that. You don't know how bad this injury was. Only Fabio Wardley knows that. Only Fabio Wardley and his team members know, because he wants to be at optimum for this fight. This is a big fight. This is a big fight. You don't want any excuses going into the fight, valid or not. So, if you know that this is going to hamper your preparations, even by a percentage, don't take the fight. That's always been my view. I don't want to go into a fight with excuses. So my thought process, as a lot of fighters' thought processes would be, I want to negate any weaknesses whatsoever. And so if he's not able to train properly, what is the point in in trying to do this fight? Because he's basically coming to lose. That's the bottom line. But let me just say also that this was, again, I've said it before, and it was completely unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. And I'm going to go into the fighters, especially David Adeleye and his team in a minute. But my thing is this, with the promoters of this fight, they need to stop this kind of thing happening. Yes, I get it's a fight, and, tempers and, adrenaline's running high and whatever, but it's still a sport. It's still a sport at the end of the day. It's still a sport you're trying to sell to the public, and as much as people want to see violence in the actual ring, I don't really think they want to see that beforehand. And furthermore, you guys are not getting paid to be violent, to fight beforehand. You're getting paid to fight in the ring. So save it for the ring, And I saw David Adeleye talking about what's it called? How Fabio Wardley's half a man and trying to come with the attitude and whatnot. Me personally, I give it a rest, bro. Give it a rest. Like, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be a fighter. You're supposed to be a sportsman. Come with that attitude. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is tired. Everyone's seen that. Like, what? Everyone's seen that from fighters now. Seen that bravado, false bravado, whatever. It's tired. But again, I put a lot of the fault on the promoters. The promoters they're supposed to be in that stage in the care of the promoters. And the promoters are supposed to make sure things like this don't happen. And so my thought process with this is that what the fighters need to start doing is having their contracts that nothing like this can take place in press conferences to promote, or any other event to promote the fight. And that if it does, either the fighter who injures the other fighter or the promoter is to be fined, and fined heavily. Because that's when people really start to feel hurt in their pockets. You know what I mean? If you tell a fighter you're going to be fined 100 grand because you put hands on, or your team member put hands on your opponent, they'll come correct very quickly. Same with the promoter. Do you know what I mean? No one wants to let go of money, you know, for nothing. So I think that's what needs to start happening now to avoid this thing. Because obviously, like, when you're doing your face-to-faces, I understand that a fighter needs to get into the personal space of another fighter, but then they need to understand that no physical contact can take place. And if any physical contact takes place, you are getting fined heavily. In fact, they should start saying that your purse will be revoked. And that will make sure that fighters come correct when it comes to these events, because this is getting ridiculous. This is like the only sport. This is why boxing's a niche sport. It's one of the reasons why. People can harp on about, oh, but Muhammad Ali did it and this and that did it, but they were all established world champions. You know, you got these guys who are fighting for the British title in Saudi Arabia, so I don't even get at that, although apparently they're not fighting for the title now. But you've got guys who are not even that well known in the UK. And you're trying to go on like that? Come on, man. Behave yourselves, innit? Realize that you're in a privileged position and act accordingly. Because there's a lot of people in the world, and especially where they're promoting that fight, where, you know, all they see is N-words beating up N-words. You know, I'm not saying a word because I don't like that word, but they just see it as N-words beating up N-words, and you're the entertainment for them, you know, like animals fighting in a cage. So come better than that. Come better than that. You're in a privileged position to put food on the table for your family and to elevate yourself, you know. Come correctly, man. Come correctly, because there's a certain amount of people that are looking at you guys like animals anyway, and then you're feeding into it, you know. So come correctly. That's what I'm saying. But I think now the promoters need to be held accountable, as well as the fighters, for these sort of melees that happen in, you know, promoting the fight. Because this is getting ridiculous. This is the only sport where that happens. You don't see them doing it in tennis. And yes, you could say yes, but they're not fighting in tennis and blah, blah, blah. But my thing is, it's still a sport. It's still a sport. And it's not war, it's a sport. So while it's still a sport, act like sportsmen. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, let's see what happens with Fabio Wardley. Let's see if the injury is as bad as it initially seems it is, according to the Fabio Wardley team. And let's see if this fight actually goes ahead. But, you know, if it doesn't, David Adeleye and his team have shot themselves in the foot. So hopefully next time they'll come correct. But fighters, listen to me. Start holding these other fighters and these promoters to account. But anyway, that's my take on it. What do you guys think about it? Leave your comments down below and let me know what you think, please, yeah?